right, Fernal blessings. So it looks like I'm gonna get a third one in today. This will definitely be the last one of the day. So this one I kind of wanted to talk about something that I alluded into the previous video. Before I do that, some real quick announcements. Again, if you want to sign up for the different classes that I offer, I have a bunch of ongoing series. I do 3 private classes every month on Patreon. The Primordial Chaos Patreon page is located at patreon.com /Baniti, Baniti, tier 3. That's the tier you want to join. That's going to give you access to the 3 private classes I do every month on Patreon for Patreon members only. And it also gives you access to the group ritual that we do at the end of the month. I just added a new class to the ongoing series, Necromancy and Dark Witchcraft. That's the new class. Class 1, the first one in that series, will be October 5th. In addition to that, I have a bunch of other ongoing series of classes on there. Shadow work classes, Clepothic sorcery. We have one of my favorites, Luciferian magic and self-mastery class, which really pieces a lot of things together. Eastern Left-Hand Path occult class, where we talk about the Jinn, Shaitan, Iblis, Ahriman. We also have Ancient Egyptian Vampiric class, Sith, Dark Side Alchemy and Philosophy class, Esoterical Occult Bible Study class. The list goes on and on. So check it out, patreon.com /Baniti, Baniti, tier 3. That's the tier you want to join. The 6th annual Journey of the Black Adept Conference, that's in full effect. You can register and sign up for that right now. That will take place October 19th to the 22nd in Hollywood, Florida, at Cultural Expressions. And it'll kick off on the 19th of October, which is Thursday evening, with a meet and greet at the Flashback Diner. That's right, baby, the Flashback Diner, throwback. And then on the 20th and the 21st, which is Friday and Saturday, we will have classes, workshops, speakers, presentations. And then we come back in the evening on both nights to do a group ritual working, followed by a group dinner, some socializing, hanging out, having some fun, kicking it. And then Sunday, the event closes out on the 22nd, where I'll be doing a Q&A session, question and answer class, talking about what transpired over the conference, or whatever you want to talk about. If you want to sign up and register for that to come in person or to attend virtually, which gives you access to the Friday, Saturday, Sunday classes, workshops, and presentations, shoot me an email, khnum19@gmail.com, and I will get you that information on how to sign up and register for the 6th annual Journey of the Black Adept Conference, okay? If you're interested in a spiritual consultation or a spiritual reading, I offer various different readings, Clepothic demonic readings. I offer Santa Muerte readings, Egyptian oracle readings, shadow work readings, deity readings. Shoot me an email at khnum19@gmail.com, and I will send you information on how to book a spiritual reading or a consultation, all right? Also, keep in mind all this new content is being uploaded to the Primordial Chaos podcast, which is available on Spotify, all major podcast platforms. Also, check us out on Instagram, Primordial Chaos 9, one word. Check us out on Facebook, Primordial Chaos, 2 words. I also upload all the new content there in addition to the podcast. Also, keep in mind everything that I just talked about, the direct link to the podcast, my contact email address, the social media pages, and the Primordial Chaos Patreon page, where you can find the direct link to sign up for classes. All of that is in the description box of this video that you're currently watching right now, okay? All right, having said that, so this video I want to talk about being in relationships on the left-hand path or the occult, okay? Finding the right partner or partners, depending on your preference. It's all personal, no judgment zone here. Is critical and key for your own personal growth. Just like, I always get stuck. Just like majority of the things you do on this path, the choices and the decisions you make, is gonna affect your personal growth either in a positive way or a negative way on a personal level. Okay? I've mentioned before over the years, I deal with a lot of people in consultations. I deal with a lot of clients that go through marriage issues, relationship issues, things of that nature, which is, everyday problems, everyday life things that even just the average regular people deal with. But when you're on a path of self-mastery like this, an adversarial path, you work with the adversarial current. Your spiritual practices are very unorthodox and not mainstream like other paths, because it's a path of nonconformity, a path of isolated consciousness. It's a path of self-mastery. It's very unique. And it's not mainstream. So those are just some of the factors why you just can't be with anybody. Okay? You just can't have sexual relations with anybody. You just can't be in a committed relationship to anybody. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it, because I see people make the mistake over the years. They could be very deeply engaged in their path of self-mastery and the occult, and they're with somebody who has no interest in the occult, and sometimes even take it a step further, which could be worse, can be preventing or blocking them from growing on their path. It's not going to work, people. Okay? And I don't even sugarcoat it. I don't suggest it. Again, I don't tell people what they should and should not do. I'm not telling you what kind of relationship you should or should not be in. We're all grown, mature adults. I will put information out there, make suggestions, but at the end of the day, you got to make the choice. If you are evolving on this path and growing, and you're with somebody who either could be, let's say they're a Christian, a deeply rooted, faithful Christian, or they have very worldly view of things. They don't even have to be religious. They could just be very secular, as they say, very worldly, and have very indoctrinated viewpoints. I can tell you 99.9% of the time, at some point in that union or relationship, it is going to create conflict for you. Okay? Can it work? I'm not saying there's no relationships out there where a person who is on this path is with somebody who has no interest or doesn't want anything to do with it and have a successful relationship. I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but I can guarantee you the percentile of that is super low. I can guarantee you well over 90 to 95% of the time, or even 99.9% of the time, I guarantee you there's going to be some conflict at some point. Okay? It just doesn't mesh. And the mistake people make, they think, oh, at some point, I'll change him, or something will just change. They get caught up in either in the physicality of the relationship, maybe the physical attraction and how much they want to be with the person or desire the person, or maybe the person has a certain status quo that's going to make their shit look better, so they just disregard all of the important things and just immediately tap into that. It's not going to work, people. Trust me when I tell you. Okay? And don't make the mistake again thinking you're going to change somebody. Oh, I'll change them. Whether you're a man or a woman. Oh, I'll change them. I'll get them to see my viewpoints. I'll get them to see it my way. I'll worry about it later. I'll figure it out later. No. I'm going to save you the trouble. Don't even fuck with it. Okay? You're wasting your time. Because it's going to cause conflict. Okay? It's definitely going to cause conflict. It will not work. Okay, so don't waste your time. I can tell you that right now. Now, let's move forward. What's the best way, the best approach of how, look, nothing is 100. You can't avoid anything 100%. But what measures and steps can I take, for the most part, to avoid putting myself in a situation like that? Okay? Now let's talk reality. Now, I'm not saying you're going to find somebody exactly with the same frame of mind as you, exactly linked on this path, identically the way you are. Now, really, technically, you don't want to. I'm going to be honest with you. You want to have some differences. But you're not going to find, for the most part, somebody who has the complete same mindset as you. Okay? If you can find somebody that's on the path and you have things in common, you can share things, that's a beautiful thing. That's you know, you're ahead of the game. That's easy. You just build upon that. It can also work with somebody who necessarily doesn't have to fully be on the path, but has to have a certain mindset. They must understand your spiritual path. They must respect it, and they must not hinder your growth, but they also must, to a degree, have a liberated mindset where they're not indoctrinated. They're not influenced by everything in the world. They're not a conformist. So there has to be, what I'm essentially saying is there has to be some form of a common ground there. That's all I'm saying. Okay? That also can work. This is going to save you, trust me, headaches, hardship, and problems down the road. I've seen it so many times over the years. I have people reach out to me, man or a woman, and I tell them, I say, look, you're trending down a road. You're just like, look at it, you're traveling a path. You're going to hit a fork in the road. At some point, you're going this way, and they're either going to come with you or they're going to go their own way. So that is very, very important. Because I've seen this be a major blockage in people's spiritual growth that holds them back. They have a very toxic significant other / partner, husband, wife, spouse, whatever you want to call it, boyfriend, girlfriend, and they can't practice their spiritual path because they got some toxic, ignorant bastard hovering over their shoulder all the time, giving them a hard time about it. Not giving them the ability to freely practice their spiritual path. I'm telling you, I got clients like this over the years. And the problem is right in front of their face and they don't do anything about it. And they try to dance around it and find reasons to stay in that fucked up situation or relationship. For whatever that may be. And they might have reasons. If you're staying in a relationship for a specific reason, because the person, you depend on them for something, whether it's money, this, that, or the other, then you must also embrace what comes along with staying in that relationship. So you can't complain because you voluntarily, this is what you signed up for. Okay? It doesn't work. Now, whether you have an individual partner or multiple partners, let's talk about this. Because again, there's no judgment zone here, and some do. Some of us do. We have multiple partners, we have et cetera, et cetera. And if you're one of those people on this path, no judgment here. That's your business. But to save you again the heartache, and again, I know some of this stuff might sound common sense, but as I said before, some motherfuckers ain't got common sense. You can't teach common sense. You either got that shit or you don't. If you do, make sure there's an understanding, please, between all parties. Make sure each person engaged in the relationship has an understanding of what that relationship is about. If it's just friends with benefits, if it's just a one and done, or if it's going to be a continual relationship, make sure that's clear. Okay? Because again, people will reach out to me with this and I'm like, this is all self-created bullshit. Because sometimes it's all rooted in lack of communication. Communication is one of the most critical skills for your life overall. This path, yes, but overall for your life. Shit goes down because of poor communication. So if you're involved in a polygynous relationship or you have multiple partners, whether you engage with them on the side or together, make sure there's an understanding. Make sure that person knows their role and you know your role. And sometimes it could be you don't know your role. And you get your feelings hurt. Just be clear on what it is. Because this is reality on this path. I'm just going to keep it real. Let's not act like this shit exists in the world. Not just on this path, but see, we don't run from this type of stuff. These are real issues, real things that go on. And they need to be addressed. And I'm trying to share these viewpoints and these tips with you. So as you live your life on a regular basis and deal with real life shit, you can also infuse that with better developing your personal spiritual path of self-mastery. Okay? Because this stuff is real. It exists. So there needs to be understanding, communication, okay? And be very knowledgeable of the person you're getting into a relationship, because then sometimes it can go even up a notch, not for a good reason. It goes up a notch sometimes to the point you get deep into a relationship, whether it's over a deep relationship over a long period of time, or marriage, and then kids get involved, and then sometimes 2-3 deep, more kids in or more, you realize I fucked up. Now you've compounded the problem even more. Why would you have children with an individual, you or he or she, who you were suspect about from the get-go? Because you know why? Because of what I said earlier. Oh, I'll change them at some point, or they'll change, or they'll just see things my way at some point. Don't do it. Don't do it. Now, man, maybe you're one of the lucky ones. Maybe you're watching and say, oh, it worked for me. I'm not, again, let me reiterate, I'm not saying it can't, but I can guarantee you it's a super minute, small percentage that does. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Don't fool yourself. There has to be common ground. Like, look, here's the reality when you really question the validity of your relationship with a significant other. Whether it's just sex, this, that, or the other. Now ask yourself this as a man or a woman. Doesn't matter. You could be a man or a woman. Do you love the person you're with because you truly love everything about them? Or do you love what they do for you? And what do I mean by that? Let's look at an example of a man. And I'll give you the example of a female. Of a man. If a woman stopped cooking for you, giving you pussy, and say you got kids, taking care of your kids, washing your clothes, you know, all these things that we take for granted that we become very accustomed to. If a woman stopped doing all the things she does for you, giving you pussy, the whole nine, would you still really love them exactly the way they are? You answer that yourself. I'm not going to answer that. If you're a female, and maybe you're with a man who's well off, and he's doing a bunch of shit for you, you know, buying you whatever you want, doing your hair, your nails, dicking you down the right way, whatever it is, all the things you're accustomed to. Well, what if that man lost all that, had to work at Burger King flipping hamburgers? Okay? Would you still love that man and want to be with him for who and what he is? I'm saying that to say, do you love a person because you love what they do for you? Or do you love a person truly for what they are? Now, I'm not saying there's not people, again, that love a person unconditionally, just as they are, or want to be with them unconditionally, just as they are. I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but most would have to say no. Okay? Most would have to say probably not. Okay? And this is why you need to evaluate all these things and ask yourself, before you get entangled in a situation that you can't get untangled out of, that could pose a huge problem, people. Okay? So try to avoid these things. Try to prevent putting yourself in scenarios that, if you did your due diligence, you could have avoided from the get-go. And again, it goes back to the previous video, accountability. Taking responsibility for your actions, which again seems like a very common sense thing, you would think, but let's keep it real. It's not all the time, because across the board in life, I run into people over the years who I've met a lot of people just ain't got no common sense. Okay, you either have it or you don't. It's that fucking simple. You either have it or you don't. This also relates back to karma, as we've talked about many times. Choices and decisions we make, right? Cause and effect. Because at the end of the day, when the smoke clears, as they say, it all turns back on you anyway. Okay? So choose productive people in your relationships if you're on this path. And some of you who are really locked in, you know you just can't be with anybody. You know you just can't exchange your sexual energies with anybody. Because 9 out of 10 times, if you are a powerful magician and adept, your energy is going to be way more powerful. If you're dealing with somebody who's not on this path, right? If you're carrying a strong, potent sexual energy, shit, that person can become whipped, male or female. And then you might create a toxic scenario where you can't get rid of that person. And I've seen this happen to male and female. Because you thought for the moment, you thought for the temporary pleasure and desire, and now you're stuck with some nutbag that you're struggling to get rid of. All right, let's be real about that. That happens. And I've done videos on that, knowing your sexual power and your sexual energy and understanding that, how to harness it. Right? If you have strong spiritual power, you carry strong sexual energy, and you're dealing with a person who is not on this path, and you already sense you have way more power than them, your DNA is going to overcome their DNA, and they're going to become very enthralled with you, if that's the right fucking word. Okay? You got to be careful of that. That may not be something you want. Okay? Another important reason why you just can't be in a relationship with anybody on this path. Okay? So there needs to be an understanding. There needs to be clear communication. You need to know your role. They need to know their role. Okay? This is going to prevent a lot of issues down the road. Because again, don't fuck up and then children are involved and now the situation's messier, because then I get this all the time. Well, see, you don't understand, it's complicated. I just can't get out of the relationship. Sure you can. Sure you can if you really want to change. When you say you can't because you might be in it because you depend on the person for something, or there's children involved, or this, that, or the third, then you don't really want to change. See, sometimes people fuck up and realize, okay, change can't happen if you're not willing to sacrifice something, okay? So let me be crystal clear on that. So if you think you ain't going to sacrifice shit and things are just going to magically change into your favor without you sacrificing anything, bullshit, it's not going to work. Bullshit. But, again, when we factor in, again, a lot of people with a lack of common sense, is what people believe. So again, when you voluntarily stay in a situation or a scenario or a relationship and you know it's toxic, you must embrace and accept everything that comes along with it. There's nothing you can do. Me, I learned years ago. I sensed it as I started to grow. And I remember going back 10, 11, 12 years when I really had a major shift in my spiritual path. And I was with a woman at the time where they weren't religious or trapped in any type of religious or spiritual dogma, but that woman was very worldly. All she gave a fuck about was just just bullshit on TV, gossip, bullshit with her friends. It was just secular and worldly is the best way I could describe it. And I felt my energy just drawing further and further away from her. My spirit and my energy just wanted to distance myself further and further away from her. I wasn't vibing. My frequency and energy was way off. Till literally, I just came home one day and was like, yo, this shit ain't gonna work. Right? Because everything that was changing inside of me was being reflected in what I was seeing in that relationship that I didn't see before. Right? So further proof, this is how you know you're changing. Okay? And that's what I meant when I said earlier, you will get to a fork in the road. Trust me. That was my moment, my fork in the road, where, yes, it was a gradual process, very fast, over a short period of time. But as the days went by, when I started to feel like that feeling started to grow even stronger. That I knew this ain't the right person to be with. I could see, you hear that term growing apart, right? That happens in relationships, which is just another term to say people going in different directions, having different mindsets, different perspective on life, different perspective on spirituality. That's what went on with me. And I'm using that as an example to share with you in relationship to what I'm talking about in this video. I saw it, I felt it, and I had to act accordingly. Because I would be guilty. Look, if you're a person and you're staying in a relationship and you know you don't want to be in it, and you drag it out, and you wait too long, and then so much time goes by, you tell the person when you could have told them months ago or even further back, then that responsibility is on you. And I'm saying that because I knew I got to a point I couldn't let it go any longer, because then that's not right to the person that you need to let them know this ain't gonna work. Because then the person, what's one of the questions you get in scenarios? Well, how long have you been feeling like this? Oh, for the last 6 months to a year. Then why the fuck did you wait so long to tell me? Right? And that person has a point. So that's another thing, another trap you need to stay out of. Okay? If you feel that change, if you're feeling it and you know it and you sense it and you see it, do something about it. Okay? If you're staying in a toxic relationship because you depend on that person for money, for well-being, for food, clothing, and shelter, okay, I get it. But don't bitch and complain what comes along with it, because sometimes you give that person empowerment. You give them power. Because if you're on this path to the occult, they're not, and you're depending on them for everything, that's technically your God. If you really think about it, he or she. Because really, another concept of something being a God is anything or anybody that's in control of something. Think about it for a minute. You can't be on the path of self-mastery and be a God and a sovereign ruler over your spiritual path when you're depending on somebody else for everything and anything for your existence. Think about how double-standard and hypocritical that is and how that makes you look fucked up. Okay, my thing is this. If you're in a fucked up relationship, I'd rather go rent a room if I had to downsize. Because I'm saying this because I run into females on this path who reach out to me for situations like this. And I tell them they don't want to give up their lifestyle sometimes. And I get it. But see, if that was me and I had my own, if I had to rent a room where I had my peace of mind, my personal peace of mind, my freedom, and better quality of life, and not have to deal with drama in a toxic relationship, man, I'd be all on board for that shit. That's the sacrifice part I was talking about just a couple minutes ago. See, there's people that I know, females like that, because they're with a dude who's got tons of money or he's very well off, and that dude is giving them everything they want materialistically. They got a beautiful house, this and that, this, that, and the other. And something goes wrong. And that person knows they ain't going nowhere. Oh man, she ain't going nowhere. I give her everything. And then they so sucked in under that fucking spell of wizardry, they don't want to leave, because then now they get conflicted. I'm not going to give all this up. Well, then you're not really looking out for yourself. I'd rather rent a motherfucking room, downsize to a room if I had a 5-bedroom house, if it was that bad. And I knew it would be the first step to me getting my peace of mind back. My personal peace of mind. Okay? That's why I tell a lot of females, and I'm telling you this from being a male, not because I never really did that or was like that or was controlling or chauvinistic. Yeah, when I was young and dumb, I had jealousy tendencies. All young, dumb men do, right? Because they want to be the man. But I was never controlling or dominating like that, and I tell all women, don't put your livelihood and full dependency for everything you need in the hands of a man, and vice versa. Okay? There's dudes who are fucking lazy, who don't want to do for self, and as a man, you're supposed to be the man in the relationship. You're supposed to be not sole provider, lone provider, but you're supposed to carry your weight. You're supposed to, be that head and carry that weight. But you got a lot of these dudes that look for sugar mamas, and you sugar mamas are stupid for putting up with it. I come home, he's on the couch all day playing PlayStation. Well, who allows that shit? You do. Fuck you getting mad for? You put up with it, you allow it. So that's on you. Because you're insecure and you got fears and anxieties because you don't want to be alone, and you need to have the label, I got a man. So you let the man walk all over you because you're insecure, just because the fact so you could go around saying I got a man. But this man sits at home every day, smokes weed all day, and plays PlayStation, and eats up all your food in the refrigerator. You leave in the morning, you see him on the couch, you come back, he in the same spot where you left him when you left in the morning. Okay, whose fault is that? That's on you. So it applies both ways. It's not just the man to the woman. It's also the woman to the man in the approach. I get a lot of that. Sad how a grown-ass woman, and I've seen this grown-ass career woman, could have their own business, their own career, or a good job, a nice house or apartment. This woman's out here working hard, making her dough. She got some old buster-ass loser sitting on her fucking couch all day playing PlayStation, smoking blunts. Talking about he ain't found the right job yet. Stop, man. Stop. Again, a poor decision in being in a relationship with somebody on this path that you shouldn't be on. Or should be with, I should say. Okay? It's crazy, people. Crazy. Now, as I said earlier, I'm not saying there's 100% way of avoiding this altogether, because nothing is like that. Sometimes you meet a person in the beginning, they portray themselves to be something they're not, and then that changes. Okay? And as I said before, a relationship is a business too. Like I said, look, I've said this many times in the past. New pussy and new dick is always good. Especially for us as men. New pussy is the best pussy, right? But when the newness wears off, right? And you start to see the reality of things, the whole game changes. See, good pussy is good pussy consistently, right? When new pussy is only good pussy temporarily, that's how you know you're with the wrong person, okay? And what tends to happen after the honeymoon phase wears off, as I like to call it in a relationship, reality kicks in. You start to see the way the person really is. You see the way they live. You start to see their habits, good and bad, that you like and despise about the person. Then when you start to factor in, if you're in a serious relationship and you guys now are, working together with finances, the whole game changes, folks. All that physical stuff, all the honeymoon phase, the good dick, good pussy phase is over. The new phase, the new dick, new pussy phase is over. And reality kicks in. Now you're going to see if this is the right situation or relationship you're supposed to be in. Right? And at that point is when you should make that choice. Should I continue down this path with this person, or should I cut that shit the fuck off? Okay? Because if you don't do it at that point, that moment, now you're heading down a very bad path you probably don't want to go. And it's not going to turn out good for you. Okay? Look, I know some of this shit is common sense. You would think not everybody has common sense. I've seen this problem over and over and over again. Never ending. So again, I'm trying to share this with you to prevent you, for those watching and listening, to hopefully not be in a situation like this if you don't have to be. Okay? And remember, the type of person you choose as your partner reflects the type of person you are. Right? So if you're choosing somebody fucked up, somebody ratchet, somebody got all... What does that say about you? Person gonna look at you like, damn, the fuck are they fucking with that person for? Right? So it's also, who you choose is also a reflection of you. Okay? So anyway, long story short, be smart. I don't want to keep rambling. This video probably went a little longer than it should have. Alright? So quite simply, no, you cannot be with anything or anybody on this path of self-mastery. It's not going to work. There has to be certain things that add up that are going to work between you and that person before you can even consider anything long-term. All right? Having said that, if you need to reach out to me, khnum19@gmail.com. If you need to reach out for a spiritual consultation, a spiritual reading, if you need information on signing up for the 6th annual Journey of the Black Adept Conference, that's in full effect. You can sign up, register now for that conference, October 19th to the 22nd in Hollywood, Florida, at Cultural Expressions. 4-day event. Looking forward to it. Shoot me an email. You can sign up virtually or you can attend live and in person. Looking forward to seeing some new folks out there, returning folks. But shoot me an email. Keep in mind all of the Facebook page, Primordial Chaos 9. Primordial Chaos on Facebook, 2 words. Primordial Chaos 9 on Instagram. The podcast, the Primordial Chaos podcast on Spotify, all major platforms. All of those links, the podcast, my contact email address, the direct link to the Patreon Primordial Chaos page where I do 3 private classes every month and a group ritual with Patreon members only. All of those links can be found right in the description box of this video you are watching right now. Other than that, that's all I got for now. I will see you guys on the next video. Infernal blessings. We out.